Let's get into this crap storm, shall we? And for the next question, we're going to go over to our friend, Michael Roberts. And Michael Roberts writes, did you happen to see the statement that Christopher Nolan sent out in regard to Warner Brothers' straight-to-streaming announcement? Wow, he absolutely tore them apart. Do you think this will have any effect on the decision-making at Warner Brothers? And how do you think it affects their relationship between creators, actors, and studios, specifically Warner Brothers? Will Nolan refuse to work for them? Void his contract? Keep up the good work. P.S. Movie trailers, A Love Story was amazing and eye-opening. I learned a lot. Well, thank you so much for that, Michael Roberts. Always glad to hear somebody giving the movie a little bit of a plug. All right, so here's where it goes, guys. The complete crap storm has begun. And Christopher Nolan is at the forefront of it. Now, let me give this just a little bit of context, okay? Let's step back before we get to Christopher Nolan's comments and give a little bit of context. When Warner Brothers made the announcement that they were going to be putting all of their movies straight to HBO Max, somebody wrote into my show and asked, hey, what are they going to do? How will this affect pre-existing deals on those movies? Because these movies, the filmmakers, the actors, the writers, the producers, the directors, they thought they were making a movie that was going to get a big theatrical release and make X amount of money at the box office and all that kind of stuff. How is their deals going to be affected by Warner Brothers now dumping it onto HBO Max? And it was a good question somebody asked this weekend. And my answer to that at the time was, well, I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm going to assume, that was my first mistake, I'm going to assume that Warner Brothers, being a smart company, what Warner Brothers is going to do is that they will reach out to all the involved parties prior to making the announcement. My guess is weeks ago, they started talking to all the representation and all the people involved, and they probably worked out their deals to say, okay, we know that we were going to be putting, let's say, In the Heights with Lin-Manuel Miranda. We know, Lin-Manuel, that we were going to put In the Heights in movie theaters, but now we're doing this. So let's work out a deal so you're happy and we're happy with it going on HBO Max. I had assumed that that's what Warner Brothers did. After all, that is what Warner Brothers did with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman 84. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot had a specific thing in their contract that said they were going to get a certain percentage and certain bonuses depending on the box office performance of Wonder Woman. So what Warner Brothers did was Warner Brothers went to Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot and said, okay, tell you what, we're going to put it straight to HBO Max, but let's honor your deal. And let's agree that Wonder Woman would have made $1 billion, which is not a bad assumption, actually. That's a pretty good assumption. I think Wonder Woman probably could have come in right around $1 billion. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but right around $1 billion to me is a fair number. So they said to Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, tell you what, let's just assume that Wonder Woman would have made $1 billion, and we will pay out your bonuses and your back-end fees based on the assumption that Wonder Woman would have made $1 billion, right? That's what Warner Brothers did. So I kind of assumed that they would do the same thing with all the other parties involved. But here's the catch. They didn't do that with all the other parties involved. We found out yesterday, and we talked about yesterday, that Warner Brothers production partner, Legendary Pictures, didn't even know that Warner Brothers was going to be making this announcement. Didn't even know that this movie, there's a couple of them, but Dune in particular, this movie Dune that Legendary had put 75% of the budget into, like probably over $125 million that Legendary put into Dune. They didn't even know Warner Brothers was going to take that movie now and dump it onto HBO Max. Caught them totally by surprise. No advance warning. And as it turns out, it looks like a lot of people were given no advance warning. Christopher Nolan then came out and made a public statement. Now, it should be noted here, Christopher Nolan is not the only one pissed off. Everybody in the business seems to be pissed off at Warner Brothers right now. But Christopher Nolan is the one being vocal about it. Listen to a couple of comments that Christopher Nolan, who has done a lot of great things with Warner Brothers. He's made them a lot of money. He's given them a lot of prestige films. He's made some people consider the greatest superhero trilogy of all time with Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. He gave them Inception. He gave them Interstellar. He gave them all these prestige films. This is Christopher Nolan. Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed. This is Christopher Nolan talking about HBO and Warner Brothers. Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking that they were working for the greatest movie studio, and they woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service. Let me read that again. Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out that they were instead working for the worst streaming service. Christopher Nolan just took off the kitty gloves and not only punched Warner Brothers in the balls, but then he turned around with one same motion and then kicked HBO Max separately completely in the ass. So not only did he just spit all over Warner Brothers, he then just for a good measure followed up with a shot on HBO Max as well. Not only are we not working for the greatest movie studio, we are in fact working for the worst streaming service. He goes on to say in another interview, there's such controversy. Again, this is still Christopher Nolan. There's such controversy around it because they didn't tell anyone, said Nolan in an Entertainment Tonight online interview released on Monday. It's very, 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 very messy. A real bait and switch. Yeah, it's sort of not how you treat filmmakers and stars and people who these guys have given a lot to these projects. They deserve to be consulted and spoken to about what's going to happen to their work. Now, look, let's also, not lose sight of the context here. Christopher Nolan is an avid supporter of the movie theater going experience. That's true. But some people are mistakenly making the assumption here that the reason Christopher Nolan is getting mad is because this Warner Brothers and HBO Max move is undermining the theatrical experience. But that's not true. While I'm sure that Christopher Nolan is unhappy about what this does to the theatrical experience, what Christopher Nolan specifically is talking about is the fact that in good faith, producers, writers, directors, actors, on and on and on, filmmakers in good faith made these projects believing that their project was going to be a full theatrical release, and a number of them had the same kind of deals that Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot had, where they had some financial benefit to it being released in theaters. And then with no warning, no consultation, and no consideration, Warner Brothers just came out and said, we have unilaterally made a decision that we're going to take all these movies and we're going to dump them on HBO Max. We are going to use your work, which you thought you were making for a big theatrical release with box office repercussions and all this kind of stuff. We are going to take your work now and use your work to promote our side business. We're going to use your work now as a promotion because we're falling behind Disney Plus. Disney Plus is kicking our asses. We can't catch up with Netflix, and Disney Plus came out roughly the same time, and they're kicking our asses, so we got to do something. So we're going to use your work, and we're going to use it to promote our streaming service. To which the filmmakers are saying, that wasn't the deal. And then in their best Darth Vader voice, Warner Brothers is saying, we are altering the deal. Pray we do not alter it further. That's basically what Warner Brothers is trying to say to all these filmmakers. And again, put aside our own personal biases. Wherever we are at on the theatrical versus streaming, put that aside for a second. Because I have my personal opinions about that too. But let's take those, whichever personal biases they are, let's put those aside for a second. Christopher Nolan is raising a very valid point. There are filmmakers, when I say filmmakers, I mean directors, producers, writers, actors, whatever. There are filmmakers who sign deals and agreed to get on board with movie projects and then invested 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years of their lives into making these projects under the terms of certain agreements, understanding that there could be potential bigger windfalls for them after a theatrical release. And now they're being told, you don't get that. And oh, by the way, that sweet little deal we made with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. And by the way, I don't blame Patty Jenkins or Gal Gadot for this at all. They got what they felt they deserved. But you know what? That sweet deal that Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot got, where we evaluated what we thought the movie would have made in theaters and then paid them accordingly, we're not going to do that for the rest of you. You guys remember on yesterday's show, we broke down how the financials actually break down differently for how Warner Brothers dealt with the Wonder Woman film, and now they're dealing with all these 2021 films completely differently, and they're not getting as good of a deal as Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot got. And that is pissing a lot of people off. And we're going to talk in our next topic about the kind of repercussions that could have. So on one hand, I'm seeing some people online mistakenly kind of coming to the conclusion of, oh, this is just Christopher Nolan having sour grapes about what happened to Tenet and how he wants everything to be in movie theaters. But that's being short-sighted. That's not what Christopher Nolan is complaining about. Christopher Nolan is saying all these filmmakers went to bed one night thinking one thing and then waking up to a completely different reality that they were never even talked to about, and that's not right. And I got to tell you, I was completely shocked when I found out that all this was going on. When I found out yesterday that Warner Brothers never consulted Legendary Pictures, the people who put up all that money for so many of Warner Brothers films, never consulted them. And then to find out that they never talked to the directors, to the producers, to the actors, the people who they had contractual agreements with, they never talked to them. They just unilaterally came out and did that. Now, Warner Brothers seems to be taking the approach of the elephant cares not for the cares of the ant. That seems to be Warner Brothers' approach, right? The elephant cares not for the wants and cares of the ant. If an elephant steps on an ant, whatever, no big deal. That seems to be Warner Brothers' approach. We're Warner Brothers. We don't care what anybody else thinks. And we don't care how you feel. And we don't care if we're acting in bad faith. And we don't care if we're going to break our promises to you. We're going to do this because we want to do this. And I don't like to think that. You guys know I really like Warner Brothers. And I have a number of friends. I have some very good friends who are at Warner Brothers. But this is a very ass-backwards way of doing business. And here's the problem. You burn enough bridges, you're not going to have anybody willing to work with you again in the future. And that brings up, like, when I first heard about this Warner Brother HBO thing, my assumption was, oh, they worked out all the details behind the scenes and then made the announcement. Okay, I get it. I don't like it because I'm a theater fan, but I get it. It makes sense. But now we're hearing all this stuff coming out. And Christopher Nolan is just the tip of the spear. I'm sorry. Can I bring up that one quote again? Some in our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were actually working for the worst streaming service. Oh, Christopher Nolan, you wordsmith. You wordsmith. I may not have loved Tenet, but you're a wordsmith, my friend. Anyway, guys, what do you think about Christopher Nolan's comments in there? I think they are actually very poignant, and actually he's right on the money, to be honest with you. What do you guys think about that? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.